most people right now could have a much better life if they could live within their financial means, but they're not willing to sell their home and downsizing their home. They're not willing to take the BMW and bring it back.
They're keeping up with the Joneses.
I believe the keeping up with the Joneses thing is the great pandemic of our society. I really believe that.
Agreed.
And it's why I never share any content ever in my career, never have, that speaks to anything bougie. What are you feeling right now? Like what's your read?
I think, well, first of all, you pushed us to tell us that this was going to be a grind. Like you told me it was going to be a grind.
Yep.
I love grinds.
I know you do.
I really do. I think it like connects to that like athlete in me that just wants to like practice and, you know, take the reps and do them.
Ask me what my favorite thing that I've accomplished in my life is.
What is it?
Beating Nate Schroeder in tennis twice when he was beating me 5-1 in a set to 6. Twice, Nate, twice.
It's so great.
There's nothing better in life than to come down from 5-1 or 5-love to win a set. It feels like everything.
Yes.
And I know that about you.
Yeah.
And I told you that's what this was going to be.
Yes, and it is. And I don't think I was surprised by it, but I do think that selling a book is very hard. It's very hard to do.
Yeah.
No one tells you about the selling. The easy part was writing it.
Correct.
And it was fun coming up with the name.
Yeah, so we did this the way we do any company. We went all in.
Yes, you did.
And full transparency, we sold about 10,000 copies.
Yes.
Which we're told is good. We think it's not enough.
Yep.
And we're going to continue to work. We were sitting around this weekend and we said, why aren't we selling this to the real people who need it? Right. And if you are doing a company and you're not willing to go to your local park and ask for the purchase, you don't believe in your company.
Yeah.
So we grabbed a table, made a sign, went to our park. It was not staged.
Who made the sign? Because I analyzed the sign.
I did. I made the sign.
Quickly
on Vista.
Yeah,
Go
no,
Vista.
we don't. I mean, listen, perfect is not what it's about.
And by the way, I didn't say I analyzed it poorly.
Yeah.
And Kass was like, she was laughing, but I was sitting there like,
You're an entrepreneur.
Get your free books, get your free advice. Yeah, people would come up and they're like, who are you? Oh, we've only had about $10 billion of exits. And they're like, wait, what the fuck?
But here's the crazy part.
It was fun. I loved it.
We, like Mike and I, there was nobody else, carried a 40-pound table into Central Park, like 100 yards. Like, that's
shoveling shit.
It's shoveling shit.
Yeah.
And so what we've done is we've said yes to everything. We, podcasts,
the humble brag
events.
of living 100 yards from Central Park, I thought was the best part of that little moment. Keep going, Mike.
It just happens to be our local park, but it doesn't matter what your park is. Like if your park is in like Cleveland, go to your park. We happen to have 18 million people come through our park.
Yeah.
And we basically have just worked, and we created a V2 Mom, which is vision, value, methods, obstacles, which we talk about in the book. And we said, we want to be a bestseller. How are we going to be a bestseller? We got to put in the work. So it's for us, it's speaking, getting on stages, it's podcasts. And most importantly, it's asking people for the purchase. A lot of people don't ask people to buy whatever the product is.
That was my number one.
Yep.
Yeah. And
text every person.
Text every single
Andrew
person.
Anderson to Zarley Zalkowski.
And what's incredible, you're talking about disappointments. There are people who we made $80 million. 80 million fucking dollars.
Yep. I talk about this all the time.
That just said no.
Did not buy a book.
Yeah.
Said that we don't have a budget
Mike,
for
you're
books.
getting really loud.
No, he's right.
I will never forget that. I'll never forget you beating Nate. I'll never forget me beating Kass in pickleball. And I'll never forget people who didn't buy books.
He's never beaten me in pickleball.
Who we did stuff for. And I'm not transactional. You know that. We give. But when I ask and someone says, no, we don't have budget.
Something so frivolous.
And then you have to say, wait, you don't have personal budget for that?
That part.
So that's the biggest disappointment. You know who your friends, write a book and you'll know all your friends.
In a real way.
Yeah.
In a real way.
And
also you'll know, this is the icky part, you'll know who's rooting for you.
Yeah.
That's the icky part.
Yeah. By the way, icky, yes. I mean, I think we're very close in real life, which, as you both know, my friend group is quite small. Like it's predominantly family and employees.
Yeah.
Because employees are family to me. Like you guys know that pretty happy.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm happy is I also take note. I've got some crazy ones on that as well. I told you that was going to happen.
Yeah.
I reopened a round that was closed for someone that they made that kind of money on. Like it was 3 months later. You know how impossible that is. And they bought 0 books. And but I'm happy because I don't have expectations. Like I'm not icked out by it. I feel bad. Honestly, you know what's so weird? I'm so confident. I actually feel bad for people that do that to me because I'm like, that's a mistake. Like,
Yeah, but you'll remember it.
Well,
and you know
big
what's
time.
funny? It might not be because I'm such an idiot that I still would probably show up for people that heavily disappointed me because I don't really factor people's actions into my actions.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about this a lot with our generosity, right? I asked someone the other day, you know, if you're successful, I said this to this one person, do you stop giving back at a certain point? Because we don't.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh yeah, you do. At a certain point, you just don't look behind you. And I just couldn't get over that because like my actions will never change.
Yeah, same. So a lot of people here a lot of people who listen will buy books. There's a very specific reason all these PR people hit me up every day because the sales come from the podcast. For the ones that are listening, break down the different people that should buy this book. Who's the demo that you think that's listening on the other side are aspiring entrepreneur, active entrepreneur, executive, kid hustler, 60-year-old pondering next chapter, all of the above, this way, that way. Here's how these people should think about it.
So yes, and yes. This is 30 years in the making. It's every mistake we made, every painful loss, every lesson. There are 50 cheat codes that we picked up the hard way. Not only about the business, but about life. Not only about how to build a business, how do you build a life that matters? What's the purpose of being successful if you're miserable, right? And so if you're an entrepreneur and you don't read this, you're negligent. It gives you every cheat code from how to structure your calendar to how to focus an organization, how to hire well. If you know aspiring entrepreneurs, a lot of people graduating, buy it for them. If you're in customer service, you're about to lose your job from AI, buy the book now. Because whether you want to be an entrepreneur or not, you're out of work. If you're a salesperson, you're probably gonna have to do your own thing at some point. If you're a junior coder, buy this book because it'll help you get up and running.
I also think if you're about to buy a company, right? We see a lot of entrepreneurs by acquisition, right? This is the book. This is how you do it. We speak to a lot of kids. You speak to a lot of kids. This is the book to buy.
What's not worked that you thought would work selling this book?
So we were hopeful that social media would move books.
Yep.
It's created an incredible community. Mm-hmm. It's not where you sell books. For us, we started at 0. We have built a network which for the first month reached 1 million people last month. We look at that. We thought it was going to drive books. We look at that as just building the relationship. We should have known because we have your book all over the place.
Well, have you made a direct call to action piece of content that you've run media against?
Yes.
Yes.
And so what are you seeing there?
Not conversion to sales, but definitely conversion to followers.
So we're at the point right now where we have 2 weeks.
Yep.
And we're starting a blitz, which will include many more ads that we think puts our best ads forward. So everything we do, we're learning from. We have a whole data capability, not just CRM, but who's visited the websites, who's following us, all that stuff. And frankly, we don't think social these days is for selling, until you have such a close relationship with these people, which we're starting to feel.
Sure.
We're starting to feel personal relationships like you have felt with people who have supported us, who've bought books, who want to get our attention. What's interesting is there have been people who've gone so overboard in supporting us just to get our help,
of course,
which we probably would have helped anyways. And we're walking out of this with probably 100 great friends who we didn't meet beforehand.
And we people who show up to our Founders Farm, which is our community that we talk to like every other week, who are awesome. And they're like, we can't wait for this book to come out. We're going to do everything we can to push it. That has been really lovely.
Book tour?
Book tour. We've done 2 book parties. We've got another one.
But will you, when it comes out, or are you trying to avoid that?
We're doing-
It's hard.
I don't know if it.
This goes back to the reason I'm bringing
I
it
was gonna
up
tell you
is
one thing.
Yeah, go ahead, because I
The
won't forget
name
mine.
shit has been a problem on the book tour.
There's stores in parts of the country that don't want to have you.
Yes, and
Yep.
that's been an issue.
which we
And
love. Every time we get
we
rejected,
love that. We love that.
we
but,
want a product people love or hate, and
But
people who love
but I
the
wanna sell
cover
it.
and the.
And we can't get Amazon ready for this to allow us to do ads through social because of the name. They won't allow us to do ads.
But you could buy a gun on Amazon.
That's the crazy part. So like, there's been
You
really
could buy any
fucked
sex
up
toy
shit.
you want on Amazon.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you're
I've been
talking to
told.
somebody who's been fighting the cursing reality for 20 years. It's one of the great silly things in our society.
Yeah, what was it? We wanted to
But
do
we
a
knew
college,
this.
but wait. What's the? Don't
So there
name
was
the college.
There was a very prominent entrepreneurship program,
Like top.
Babson,
where it probably is Babson, where they were very interested because this is their textbook.
Thanks, Gary.
you're welcome.
And the only reason they didn't kind of incorporate it into their
Curriculum.
was because of
The name.
And I said, listen, if your students can't like deal with shit and just saying that, they have no chance as an entrepreneur.
Crazy,
Crazy shit.
crazy shit.
And the guy had it. One of our really good friends, who is a big supporter of Babson. I don't know if he's on a board. Is he on the board there, Babson?
Maybe, I don't
But he had like 500 to 1,000 books lined up for us. And then he gets to the top guy on the board who's just like, no, we can't have anything that would say something like that. I'm like,
Which
what?
says more about institutions today than
Anything, yeah.
Of course.
And we love Babson. I mean, it's the single best
Yeah, it's a
entrepreneurship.
great
But we're,
school.
you know, screw that, right?
I'm not saying it's Babson.
Yeah, no one's saying it's
Yeah, we love
Babson.
Babson.
And no one's saying that like
No one agreed
entrepreneurship
that
is
it
like
was.
sports and you really actually have to do it versus reading about it. You know, no one's saying that.
No one is.
It's not a book that we could have done like at any time but now. Like we needed time to basically say, okay, here's
I
all
wish we
of
did
the,
it earlier. What are you talking about?
maybe a few years earlier, but we had to experience.
We didn't have any
shit.
bandwidth to do it earlier because you know what the drill is.
Of course, especially
Bigger
the kids at your age right
bigger
now.
kids, bigger problems.
100%. And you also were decompressing from 30 years of running in a hamster wheel.
Yeah.
Like you guys were allowed to like go into that chapter of your career. Plus it also happened during COVID. There were so many things going on.
Do you know what I think our biggest regret is? Not keeping up our community right after Buddy Media. Like we just went silent on social.
Basically, not listening to you.
Yeah.
We had dinner right after we sold, and you said, "Listen, I love your writing. I was doing a lot of
Yeah, I
writing.
remember.
You need to keep doing it." And we were just tired, and you can do anything, you just can't do everything, and that's one thing that
Minus
fell
you.
off.
Yeah, but I think the other thing is that like I'm sure this book and this adventure for you guys has been really eye-opening, especially the way I see you guys connect with people on stage. Like I'm sure it's not lost on you two, especially knowing that your youngest is going to college in the fall. You have so many more chapters in front of you
Yes.
in a way that like knowing you so well, where I don't have predictions. Like I don't know if you'll start another massive company or continue to just do the investing, heavy-handed, being involved, private equity type stuff. But like you may go all the way to one extreme, all the way to the other extreme, and you'll probably do that multiple times.
Yeah.
Like, do I think you have 3 years in front of you, 6 years from now, where you're more checked out than you've ever been? I'm like, yeah, that would make sense because that would mean for the last 6 years you've been doing this
Yes.
and other stuff.
Yes.
And then do I think after those 3 years you're like, wait a minute, like
Yeah.
I think, and in general, the reason I'm probably saying this is I want people on the podcast to hear me out on this. I don't understand this concept that humans think everything is absolute and you can't just adjust.
Yeah.
Like I remember my sister really wanting, I could feel it through every phone call interaction, even though my mom put being a stay-at-home mom on such a pedestal
Yeah.
that my sister was propagandaed by it. And she could not wait to do it. She was in retail, then she was a great teacher. Now she started her family and she was excited for it and living that life. But after about 5 or 6 years, I could just see it on her face. I'm like, and I said to her, I was like, just like in a kind of like shaking moment of like on the phone with her. I was at the airport. I remember this moment so well. I was like, sis, you're allowed to change your fucking mind.
Exactly.
Like, I get that you've been told and you decided for yourself for 40 years that, like, or 30 years, whatever it was at the time, like, you're going to be this stay-at-home mom, just like mom. Like, you're allowed. And watching her go through the process of being a real estate agent and now doing that and now balancing both, she's a dramatically happier person.
There you go.
And, like, you're allowed, back to shoveling shit, like, everybody, if, like, your business sucks right now and you hate it, like, you're allowed to shut it down or sell it.
Yeah.
And a big part of this book is it's miserable and suffering and going through it is difficult, and it's awesome.
Yeah,
And
it's like parenting.
It's being able to hold those
golf
two things.
and parenting.
Golf, yeah.
It's like you have one good shot, it keeps you playing golf. And I think inside these companies, for a lot of people, we find our purpose, right? And we had lost our purpose in many ways.
Speak for yourself.
I had, I was painting, this. I was painting, I was a little
Painting.
lost. And it took me to say, this is what I do.
I don't want to hear from you. You got him. You fucking enabled it. You got him his own little
I got
apartment.
him out of the house. He was painting on the floor.
But what happened was I realized that this is what we do. And it's why I found my purpose, the passion.
Yes.
I would get up in the morning when I was painting. I'm like, I'm the worst. Like, I used to love painting, but hobbies are things that you suck, but you love that.
Let's send Gary one of the pictures.
Yeah, if you want one of my fucking paintings, have a painting. But it's...
Oh, I woke up.
Beat myself up.
I woke up this morning at 5:40. I was in Nashville yesterday just to play 6 a.m. basketball. It's my hobby. I suck.
But you
I had a
it.
really bad day today. Like, I was like 2 for 18 from the field.
Sound like the Celtics.
And it was... But hobbies are, you're right, hobbies are things for a lot of people that you love that you're not as good at. To your point, though, why I love entrepreneurship for a lot of us, it's minimally half hobby.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's why it's so great. For us, I know I can speak for the three of us, like, we really like it. Like, we really like it.
See, I like I said from the beginning, I like the grind. I like having a purpose every day. It's not that I'm sitting there going, oh, I have to fill my day with something, because Mother's Day I spent by myself, alone with my dogs. I guess I wasn't alone with the dogs.
That's what you wanted?
That's what I wanted.
Good for you.
Silence.
And I was out of town.
Yeah.
Well, I would have asked for it anyways. But the purpose, the getting up.
Or were you like at a fish show?
No, he was playing golf.
I was with Cole, his 21st birthday.
Okay.
Yeah. He's playing golf. I was right.
Yeah, well, your son.
Right?
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
don't sandbag him here to the audience.
I appreciate that, Gary. Gary's one of the few people who will actually, call Kass out. Which I love.
No.
We're just trying to support you. I mean, that was like,
Thank you.
when you said golf, I was pissed.
No,
And then when you said Cole, I was like, oh, good job.
Yeah, no, we set up a trip, Mike and I, for
My sister did the same thing. She was like, this is what I want for Mother's Day. Like, you're allowed.
I love that everyone's like, oh, I want to be around my kids on Mother's Day. Are you kidding me?
It does seem...
Are you kidding me?
You know what is funny? I actually believe that there's a valid point that Mother's Day should be when moms don't hang out with anybody.
There's no reason to be around the children.
There's already a movement around Valentine's Day called Galentine's, where it's like, screw the husbands, just the women go and have fun together, right?
Oh, I love everything about that.
Why don't they do Mother's Day like that?
Well, first of all, it's all made up holidays. Let's just go right there.
Yeah, and by the way, speaking for the
celebrate it.
fathers, nobody gives a fuck about Father's Day compared to Mother's Day. Like, if you want an indication of where we are in society, like, dads, like, somebody throws like some underwear at them at like 9 in the morning, like, Dad, and then that's like, and they're like, Dad, go do some shit. Like, it's like fathers.
And we're fine with it.
Yeah,
we're like whatever.
And a tie. Like,
Yeah,
you
and a
got to
tie.
remember ties. I used to give my dad ties.
Back to the book. It's obviously on the precipice of being released, but people have read it at this point.
Yes.
Because now it actually exists.
Yes.
What's the biggest compliment you've gotten from someone who's read it? And what I mean by that is, what did they call out that neither of you saw? Because I think the best and coolest part about writing a book is when you get feedback on it. You've been in it for so long, and you think you know everything about it, and then somebody you admire or respect gives you some flowers on a piece of it, and you're like, oh, fuck, I didn't even like... has that happened yet?
I know mine, but
You go first.
You go first while
Yeah,
Kass
so-
thinks of hers.
I'm trying to think of mine that was specific.
there was a mom who came to the, one of our meetings. We
Yep.
do these Zooms
Yep.
with the Founders Farm, and she started crying. And she said, for the first time in my life, I have given myself grace to realize that it's okay to work hard and slack a little as a mom, because she felt that she was an awful mom
Yeah.
and not performing at her best at her company. It's an events company. And the book helped her realize there is no balance. She needs to be, kind to herself and just realize that she prioritized family and work. She can't do everything perfectly.
Every day's a grind.
And it was that imbalanced life that we captured that has given a lot of people a mirror to say, what I am doing is okay. And I'm building a life that I'll be able to sit back maybe later and enjoy some of the spoils, but my kids will be okay and the company will be okay.
In fact, one of the most profound moments of my career happened on a speaking tour in Asia where I had like a VIP event after, and it turned into me having to hang with like 20, 30 very successful people. So it was really fun. Young. And this young woman said, we got into deep philosophical shit. And this young woman said, kind of like jam sessions.
Yeah.
And this young woman said something that I will never forget to the day I die. She said that growing up, she really resented her mom because her mom was one of the 5 biggest judges in the Philippines or Singapore, I don't recall. And she said she turned 20 and she had this moment of like clarity where she realized, yes, my mom missed recitals and stuff of that nature. She's like, but oh, fuck. I'm in university with all these girls and I just realized something. My mom showed me how to live.
Yes.
She didn't tell me how to live.
Yeah.
And I was hanging out with all these girls that had moms at home who told them what to do, but didn't show them what to do. And it crushed me to my core because what people don't tell each other enough is kids, you have 3, I have 2, kids are all different and they're all gonna get different things. Me and my sister are pretty close in age. The way my sister and I view our childhood, what our parents did, is different.
Yeah.
It's different.
Different perspective.
It's different perspectives. And so whether you over coddle, under coddle, whether you stayed at home or went to work, the reality is you don't know how your kid's gonna perceive it. You might be doing a disservice in the thing that you think is servicing them. And it's a really interesting game.
So, my example was going to be about this other woman who came up to me. And again, she was just very emotional about, I just really feel like I'm going to fuck my kids up. Like I'm going to fuck them up. And I said, well, it's not necessarily going to be because you're working. I said, you got a whole long list of things that can come before working.
In fact, there's a lot of parents who save their kids by working because if they were around too much, all that neurotic horse shit that they have would have went on them even
the
more.
Helicopter.
I'm being dead serious.
Sure, I am too.
And I think us not being around early would have been a good thing.
But what she said is, you said your kids are okay now. And I said, what was interesting is in the last 5 years, I've really realized, both Mike and I have realized that you can say whatever you want to kids, but it's going to go in and out of their ear. But if you show them, right, you actually show them how to live, how to show up for people, how to have a work ethic, how to have values and morals and do the right thing, that will stay with them. And so she said to me, I listened to you on stage and you said your kids are all right. And all of a sudden I felt like everything was worth it, what I was doing. And specifically, like, my kids know that working hard is a virtue.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Well, it's also something that writing the book, we had to take stock of our life. And
Which you
I haven't talked about this really anywhere.
Oh, here we go.
But, right before my bar mitzvah, my dad ran into some massive financial issues.
I'm aware.
And he made it clear that he didn't want to live. And I didn't understand it at the time,
Of course not.
right? Because you're young. And it's a relationship that I basically wrote off. We have a relationship, but we really don't. You've met my stepfather and my mom. You haven't met my dad, right?
That's right.
And there's a reason. Writing the book made me realize how difficult companies are on mental health, especially if you run into major financial issues.
Yep.
And then those financial issues start impacting your personal relationships.
Of course.
And I would just encourage everyone who have severed relationships or relationships that aren't great to give a little mercy, which I didn't do. But part of writing the book, I realized that, oh man, I learned what I know about mental health from that example, right?
Exactly.
And I need to kind of forgive him before anything, which has been a process that I figured out in the book.
You know, it's really powerful what you just shared, Mike. It makes me think about the thing that I wish more people could get to, which is your dad and so many people today are so worried about what people think about them.
Oh, yeah.
The reason so many people jump out windows when they lose their money in Wall Street is they're not capable of going backwards.
And the shame.
That part. But where the shame comes from worrying about what people think about them having to go backwards. You know, I think about this a lot. I think about this a lot because I've always really almost romanticized going backwards, which is super sick. I mean it. I talk a lot in my content about liking the Rocky where he goes back to like
The basics.
there's just something, this is just why I adore my mom so much. There's something in me that like, you know, if I text you guys, I'm like, hey, just want you to know about some personal matters. Like I have to sell my apartment. Like I don't view that as like I'm not scared of people being like, oh, you're a loser or this and that. And I feel like definitely when your dad went through that, nobody had the capacity to go backwards. And I will say that most people right now could have a much better life if they could live within their financial means, but they're not willing to sell their home and downsizing their home. They're not willing to take the BMW and bring it back and
Keeping up with the Joneses. Yeah.
I believe the keeping up with the Joneses thing is the great pandemic of our society. I really believe that.
Agreed.
And it's why I never share any content ever in my career, never have, that speaks to anything bougie.
Yeah.
You know, I don't show the things that my hard work has afforded me because I don't think it brings any value.
Right.
I do not believe it is aspirational to show someone a private plane or an incredible vacation or diamonds.
Right.
I believe it's actually hurting people.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, I think that is right. And there are a lot of people who are showing it and living in their parents' basement and creating this environment where like it just looks like everyone's crushing it, but you pull back the curtain.
Or the parents' basement is not that extreme. They're doing it by maximizing credit cards.
Well, there you go.
By living way above their means. You know, it's like, it's not, you know, the reason I'm double clicking on that is I want people to understand, especially ones that are doing it right now, like, you know, that intense story Mike shared, that's really on the edges of like how bad it can get. But I do believe a lot of people are depressed and unhappy because of this issue.
And they're comparing, right?
Yes.
Yes, and comparison is the thief of joy.
In a way that's crazy, you know, like you and I, the three of us grew up in entrepreneurial times together. When you guys had your incredibly massive event with Buddy Media and Salesforce, and when I visited you in your very incredible third home outside the US, those were joyous moments for you.
Yeah.
None of your winning felt like that I wasn't winning. We need to get to that place universally.
Yes.
If we got to that place universally, there'd be a very happy world.
Big time.
Envy and jealousy is foundational to our problems.
Yeah. Yep. I couldn't agree more. And
it's important that you're talking about it. I mean, with your platform.
I think it really matters. You know, I think, again, we're talking about we're talking about an entrepreneurial book here, but what we're doing for all the entrepreneurs and the wannabe entrepreneurs and the aspiring entrepreneurs is we're talking about the only thing that has ever made anyone achieve entrepreneurial success: mental strength. This is the hardest game. there's a reason there's so few of us. There's a reason there are so few of us who literally live their full life with 100% of the financial responsibility on their neck.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not only that, when you start a company, you are agreeing to let people see you fail in public.
Front row seat.
And I remember at Buddy Media at the end, we'd raised $100 million. And one night I turned to Kass, I'm like, if this doesn't work out, we're fucking dead. We're like, we're done forever. Like, because we respect real.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, I think we're real entrepreneurs, but real entrepreneurs are ones that grow the business without venture capital, right? Venture capital provides a safety net. And I say this all the time. We were just on a podcast. Who's your favorite entrepreneur? I said, Gary, because he doesn't raise money. And by the time he does, there's a reason, right?
Yeah.
And I think that kind of hustle of like, how do you get customers on board? How do you get cash flow to grow the business?
Well, that's what makes selling books so interesting for you guys, right? Because it's a different game. It's a different transaction.
And we were okay going to zero and starting again. And what's weird is maybe we're sick fucks. I don't know. But we fantasize all the time about maybe we were happier when we were like poor. Then I'm like, no, we weren't. Like we couldn't afford healthcare. We couldn't.
Well, but you know what? You weren't poor in like, you're obviously in a very different financial stratosphere. You were happy because with golf.com and with Buddy Media, you were building.
Yes.
The reason you guys are alive in a different way,
builders.
you're builders.
Yes.
Like that's the part, right? You're not custodians of.
Right. And that's
you're not
where,
renters.
That's where I have to say, if I'm being totally honest, I didn't love being a VC because I'm a builder and I didn't think it.
When you're a VC, you're a fan.
Yes, and I didn't feel close.
Yeah,
I didn't
you're not
feel
on the field.
like hands
Cass,
weren't
you're not on the field.
Yeah.
You're a fan.
Yeah, I'm just
you're a supporter.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna go to the Garden tonight, and I'm like, I want the Knicks to win so bad.
We
but
see you.
But I'm gonna cheer.
Yes.
And like that's kind of no different than when I write a $50,000 check to a startup. I'm
cheering from the side.
I'm cheering.
Yeah. And
so we're not raising another VC fund.
Good for
we
you.
will be launching businesses.
That's
we're launching
really cool.
10 pizza places. Kass doesn't know about this yet, but we love pizza. Everyone loves pizza, and we're buying companies. So we bought healthcare staffing.
When you that one, like when you guys again,
we love that.
I know it's where I'm about to go with the podcast, taking the curtain away. When you guys and I talk in real life, and you bring up that thing. You bring up that thing in a different way than you do other stuff.
Yes.
You feel better about it.
Yes,
You
exactly.
like it more.
Totally.
You're in deeper.
Yeah.
We can build culture.
We can.
One of the first things we did is do a profit sharing plan.
Yeah.
So company's been around for 25 years, incredibly profitable. They never felt
the impact.
success.
Yeah.
And so it's how do we run our playbook of like, it's your playbook of empathy and passion and hard work and accountability and leading by example. And when you own more than 50%,
you can do it.
You be the boss. You have to be a benevolent dictator.
Yep.
Like
the barn owl in V Friends.
Yes. Or the possum.
You were possum for you today.
I love it. Well, listen, Shoveling Shit, you can find it everywhere books are sold by the time you listen to this. But I think we go to Amazon and hit it hard to get that rank up. I do say this often, but I think a lot of you know this. Kass and Mike are truly family to me. And so if you can support this book, if you run an entrepreneur school or a hub, I'm looking for dozens and 5s and 7s. And if you got 4 kids that all are entrepreneurial, 1 for each, support this book. I really believe they put their soul into it, which makes it so valuable. The way books are priced, I just find this so valuable. And so, Mike, Kass, thank you so much.
Thanks for
you.
having
Loved
us,
it.
Gary. Love you.